And bing, 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 and we're live. And it's Sam and Lara and Pat. And yeah, so yeah, going backwards, Agile. We did the second episode of the Agile Book Club podcast yesterday, which was fun. And yeah, that's use a new recording software that seems to balance the levels. So hopefully we're moving towards something that published at some point. Federico's working on that. We are, yeah. Then I had a meeting with Dree. Yes, and so they've after kind of doing everything this and the other, they seem to be internally, which is disappointing because that would have been a nice project for us. I mean, they kind of want, they're kind of embarrassedly, sheepishly saying, "Oh, could you kind of keep giving us input on it?" And I said yes. I mean, it's like they are our sponsor and they're providing funds for us, and I think the potentially will ultimately be a consumer of this dashboard and other bits and pieces. I mean, they're kind of they're sort of pivoting to say like we must get this Amazon Web Marketplace thing out. But yeah, so we'll continue to see what that holds. Looking at it on the positive side is we've got, because I've got the resumes for everybody, I've got this on a document which is kind of like presents us as a team to say, look, we can do things for you. So that work, will not be repeated in quite the same way. So that's good to have that on standby, but disappointing nonetheless. Other things going on, managed to do some pairing with Corey to fix up one of his issues for website one. That was nice. This morning I've also cleared up, we had like a random pull request from one person that I cleared up and actually showed them how to do it properly. And I'm currently looking at, what's it called? It's called, I've forgotten what it's called. No, I'm currently looking at the bot, the new bot from Aresh for voting and trying to work out whether we can experiment with that. I've started a separate vote for local support. I've been wrapping stuff up from the local support client meeting, getting things all nicely tidied up. Yeah, so the thing that's currently just slightly blocking me is working out how to use this new kind of integration that Aresh has used. So I've got all the copy of his code. I'm just trying to work out how I can sort of launch my own bot and connect it to Slack and so on. Yeah. Anything else is there going on? It's Tuesday. I don't think so. I've got lots of meetings at the end of the week. Things in flow. Yeah, that's how it's going for me. Let's go on to Pat. How are things going with you?
Pretty good, thank you. Excuse me. So yesterday I spent a significant amount of time on the SHF project, finalizing a PR that I just submitted this morning, or yesterday, and edited this morning. On Met Plus, I did some pair programming with Laura on her issues with getting past some Cucumber tests on our local machine. I have to get an update on that. Also, I did connect up with Hinesh, Laura, on the footer changes that we discussed.
Yeah.
And that's pending, as I told Hinesh, I need to review your comments in the PR, and then I'll enter my own comments following yours, so we can basically agree on what the footer should look like. Okay. But he was okay about it. He didn't have any problems with, we're all agile, right? So we do work. Yeah. I guess the other thing is I'm reviewing a PR right now from Paul Caston, having to do with the jobs index view. And he added some stuff to the footer as well. If you're a company person and you log in, there's a couple of links down there that he added. One is click to see jobs only for my company. The other one is click to post a new job. And so I got to look at that and kind of figure out with you and Hinesh how it all comes together. So I'll be communicating with you later on that. And that's it for me. No blockers.
All right, thanks, Pat. Going on to Lara, how are things with you?
All right, thank you. So from my side, yesterday I paired with Patrick just to go through some of the failing tests. I'm still getting those failing tests, and what I did is I tested on development branch and I tested on my branch, and I get the same failures on both branches. I did ask Raoul then paired with me, but the Cucumber tests were taking too long to run. So we didn't get to finish on MedPlus to see what the issues were happening there. But while we were waiting for Cucumber to run, we paired on Visualizer, where I think I told you in last night's Scrum, he helped me with getting the Travis CI sorted out, which we did. After that, I paired with Segu just to complete the coverall CI setup. I put it up for review, and I see then Thomas merged it, but into development branch. But I see that it's not working, so I need to investigate why it's not working. Other than that, this morning I've just basically been going through MedPlus to see what's happening and why my tests are failing. Plans for today is the marketing meeting now with Agile Ventures and just to carry on with client deliveries.
Laura, could I ask you, did Raul have any thoughts as to what's happening with those cucumber tests?
No.
He was flummoxed too?
Yeah. So we didn't really get to, we were running the tests. Because what happens with my terminal is that you can't scroll up with the Terminator terminal that I'm using. So we started to run tests we wanted to rerun the tests, and then I showed him that that screen grab that I had put on MedPlus. And then he had to leave because he had to go into a sprint meeting with Craft Academy. So we didn't get much further on that. So I just started Googling this morning to see what's happening, but I wasn't managing because it just seems something to do with the active records. I mean, and even like some of it is talking about the content is expected to see a specific text.
Yep.
And when I go look for that specific text, I can't find it anywhere. So and that's where I'm getting a bit confused, because whoever was updating the text in the tests previously, I don't know how to explain this. I mean, it should match because they would have updated the tests. So it shouldn't have it shouldn't be failing because it's not referring to my homepage. It's referring to when I move away from the homepage and I land on register as employer. It's saying that text is changed, but I didn't work on that text, so that's why I'm a bit confused. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I know exactly what you're saying. So you've got everything pushed up to your GitHub repo, all your current stuff?
Yes, everything is pushed up.
Okay. Well, I know you're in marketing, etc. this morning. What I'll do later this morning is I'll pull that down and run it locally again. I'll also look at your PR, which has been updated as well, and see what's happening there. And maybe we can cycle back either today or maybe tomorrow morning.
Okay. That's
Afternoon your
perfect.
time.
Thanks, Patrick.
Well, don't thank me. What the heck's going on? Thank everybody when we get it fixed.
That's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it is
because we
weird.
looked at our computer and my computer's fine. So,
Yeah. Well, when they come down to you have to rebuild an entire environment, which is awful, but
that's one way to learn.
Right. Okay. Thanks for the update.
Thanks.
Good stuff. Thanks, Laura. So you guys will connect later to address that issue. It sounds like a very. I was just talking with Ashley and in blogs about that. It's like the checking for the presence or absence of things appearing in the HTML is a common capybara sticking point. But yes. So thanks for mentioning the marketing meeting that is coming up in 20 minutes. Something else. I guess. So I think that's our Scrum. Thanks everybody for the updates. I was just going to ask Pat. So I know that the chat had some issues going on. Where I mean, MetPlus, we were sort of talking about inching towards some liveness. Where are we with all that at the moment?
Yeah. So, excuse me. Where we are now, I think we're pretty much feature complete for MVP. We were waiting on Chet to give us a couple things. One is a projected number of users for phase one, which you said 2 to 3 months, you get it for free, unless you want 20 users. I doubt that very much. Give us an idea of what he wants to do for phase one to take it on a cruise. The other thing we're waiting on, or things we're waiting on, is he needs to give us information for at least one job category so we can train our classifier,
Right.
like loan officer, let's say. A few job descriptions, at least 5 or 6, and then some resumes that match that particular job description, that category. As you know, the classifier needs a lot of data to crunch through to learn how to recognize things. Just like I said, I always make an analogy to spam filter. Spam filters which see a lot of spam and learn from that are much more effective than those who have not seen much. And so that hopefully gets the message across to Chet. He had a death in his family a few weeks ago and kind of set him back. So hopefully next client meeting he'll have something.
Yeah, no worries. No rush yet. You just obviously takes time to come back from that. So just wonder where we were cool. Look forward to hearing more from him when he's ready. Yeah, not a problem. Cool. Okay. Well, I think we are up to date, aren't we? The Sage is off this week, and so I think we'll hear more about the Wikimedia EDU project next week. Although I'm going to be I'm away next week, so I'll have occasional access to Slack and email, but I won't be running. I probably won't be running any scrums next week. Just to let you guys know. And I think that's our scrum. I'll catch up with you, Lara, in the marketing meeting, and Pat, we'll see you again soon.
Just one, not to prolong this too much, I know you might want to prepare for the marketing meeting, but in terms of the DREE thing, DREE is kind of outside our standard target customer because they're not a charity and they have technical resources inside that can do this thing. Yeah. But is there anything we can learn from their review of our proposal? Any comment they gave to us that we can learn from and maybe improve upon? Yeah, I think that the key thing, that's a great question. One of the key pieces of feedback I got is that it was more expensive than they were anticipating. And I don't know, I think, I'd asked them up front to give me kind of like a ballpark for what they were looking for, and I was told, just do a thing. I'm not going to give you any guidelines. So then you're kind of like, I think then, I went through a process with my one main contact there, and polished and got some initial feedback and changed and whatever. And I think it was, he was then happy with it to take it on to the rest of the folks with the pricing that we'd worked out. And I think it was then that when it brought to them, and I think partly as I was presenting it as like, we're going to do this, fully tested, documented, we're going to have, 4 people, we're going to have people pairing and doing rotation and so on. And so then they were then looking at that and thinking, well, actually, we just want one guy, working over, a few days, making a prototype kind of thing. I think that was where they kind of built at it was almost like what we ended up offering them was a bit over-engineered. Maybe that's it. It's difficult because I think from my main contact was sort of saying, I think they didn't realize that until they saw our thing. Do you know what I mean? It's maybe I should have proposed something much cheaper with just 1 or 2 of us working on it. I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it? Because we kind of, with the Adventure, we sort of don't want to be doing that kind of crazy all-night throwaway prototypes. We want to be doing, stuff where we actually write tests and we build something that people can come along and maintain later. Yeah. But often companies are in a situation where they want to cut corners to get some sort of prototype out the door. So it seems like the person you were working with was working you in good faith what he thought the company needed, but the signals you were sent, we responded to appropriately, it sounds like. Yeah,
I think so. And it's an interesting, it's an interesting thing. I could have applied more pressure about expected to get like budget bracket levels that might have been helpful going forward. That's, you kind of know sort of as much as I do now. It's interesting because, I think Dree's going up and they're competing with other folks like Heroku and so on, but they're a relatively small operation. And, I think that they have sort of medium levels of resources. So it's, it's this big balancing game, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm curious. As they proceed, if they think our proposal was expensive, I hope they keep track of their costs internally. They may be surprised because it's a customer-facing thing too. You can't hack that thing together. It's
no, and I think that there's not I think they're not coming from a well-founded kind of agile software engineering perspective. They've got great DevOps experience. I think they've got some very smart people, but they're not coming from a world that says, right, we're going to pair program on it to increase the quality. They're coming from a world of, can we get one guy to work, and get something out, which is, and to be fair to that approach, sometimes when you've got limited resources, that's the right thing to do. And it's the critical thing is that point at which you switch, is the point at which you get you can just get the prototype out the door to unlock the next round of funding, so then you can bring in the engineering discipline. And so maybe it's just that we're slightly too early, but I think in almost some ways, rather than sort of taking the fly by night thing, is, if we can put our flag and say, look, we're the guys who do it properly, when it gets to the point that they really do need to do it properly, then we'll be the people they call. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, well, thanks for the background. That's helpful.
Good stuff. All right, great stuff. Bye for now. See you in the marketing meeting tomorrow.
Okay, ciao, bye.
Bye.